David fucking Lynch. Holy fuck, man. I I was my first viewing of Inland Empire was like 3 to 4 years ago at this point, and I just found it on YouTube and I watched it, and it was at night in darkness, and I knew nothing about the film other than it was directed by David Lynch. Basically the dude that, kind of made me enter serious cinema, like, artiste or whatever the fuck. I don't care. It's stupid. But like, man. After it was over, I just walked around the house with no idea what to do, no idea what to think. It was simply one of the most terrifying things I'd ever seen, and it took me to court. I couldn't tell you if I really followed any of the plot after about, I don't know, the hour mark after she enters the set and just gets transported. Or any of the symbols, or any of the plot on an intellectual level, I couldn't tell you. It's just, it's something. It's something. I was considering, I waiting a bit to figure out what in the hell to say in this review, to be honest. But, fuck it. I had to do it just from the fucking brain, just vomit brain all over this video. So, I just watched it again, basically. And the freshness of the fact that I just watched it is also part of the reason why I'm having trouble forming coherent thoughts about it. Like, I still have no damn clue what it's about. I have many thoughts, but like, I can't seriously tell you that I know everything about it. Like, the first time I watched it, I had nightmares, but I have had intense, confounding nightmares not about this film that have haunted me less than the imagery within Inland Empire. And I don't think I want to look for an absolute meaning in this movie, because it would ruin the feeling of observing a cinematic miracle and an abomination to the medium in a single film. Like, I'm sure that some out there would consider this a work to be a pretentious, a word I frickin' loathe because it means fucking nothing, clusterfuck of meaningless images without a comprehensible narrative to follow. And I tend to lean in the other direction of that, because this fucking film is amazing. It's Inland Empire is everything all at once, with Laura Dern giving an amazing performance at the center. It's a melodramatic film within a film, a demented take on filmmaking as well, a tale of international prostitutes, a personal voyage through a woman's trauma, infidelity, and some spiritual mind melding. Lynch's tale of a woman in trouble, as the tagline of the film said. It's more like a tale of women in trouble, of film in trouble, of a society in ruin, and of an artist on the brink of something massive, because I feel like this is where he really started to come to grips with digital media and use it a lot more. I don't think we would have gotten Twin Peaks: The Return without this film existing. At least not in the form we have it now. I don't think we would have episode 8 of The Return without Inland Empire. All of these adjectives are to say it's a film of bug fucking sanity and hyperlinking narratives that just spits in the face of convention. And I know that Lynch is not a spiteful filmmaker at all, but and even in the most insane crevices of the film, it's hard to think he made this with a particular vision in mind, even if it's genuinely impossible for me to parse out. But that's honestly half the fun. That's honestly half the fucking fun of it, is just, I can't make sense of it. The irony of surrealist cinema is that while it takes a genius to craft something as baffling and spectacular as Inland Empire, it is mandatory, for me at least, to use as little of my brain as possible when I watch stuff like it. I just want to soak up all the aspects that are made apparent. The incredible imagery, the vivid cinematography, the downright scary performances, like I said, the little we get of Jeremy Irons in this. I love him. He's amazing. And the musical score that just suits the haunting tone of the entire work. But as I said, trying to piece together any sort of message or narrative or deeper meaning for every single scene, just putting too much effort into understanding it does more harm than good. And I feel like Lynch would agree, because I feel like a lot of his work is based on the idea that if you start examining something too much, you lose the particular essence of it. And a lot of his early short films, I feel, play on that theme, particularly the ABC one. That one in particular, I just feel is, well, a critique of the education system in a sense, but also just like language. If you think too much about it, if you say the same word over and over and over, that word loses its meaning. The second you name something, the second you understand something, it loses some part of it that just has this beauty to it. And it's interesting, that concept to me. If you're wondering what the technical term for that phenomenon of saying a word over and over again is, it's called semantic satiation. Semantic satiation. And the funny thing is, if you say that enough, it also becomes victim to the very meaning of what you're saying. Language is so fun. But basically, if I'm to have a visceral reaction to this film, then I just have to turn my brain off. Like, if I try and think about it, all of the film, it just doesn't make sense for me emotionally. I mean, I don't know. So, like, even when these unrelated vignettes and these untranslated dialogue of the Polish, which, haha, I can somewhat understand now because I learned Polish, haha, funny, and the scenes with brand new characters, they're just given equal weight to the scenes of the ostensible A story, which doesn't really feel like red herrings overwhelming the story. Like, the scenes may dissolve into alternative realities or memories or dreams, but it just all serves to create the nightmare scape that Lynch wanted. This pulsing, grimy version of Hollywood that may be closer to 1930s Poland than reality, apparently. The film actually encourages you, like I said, to lose a narrative line, to get you thinking on a deeper plane than conventional cause and effect. So, like all Lynch films, as I've tried to reiterate, feeling is a much more important thing than causality. Which, before you start saying things, yes, cause and effect is important at times. Plot is important in certain films. You have to write good plot for the characters to make sense, and you have to write good characters for the plot to make sense. But not in this film. This film isn't about plot. This film is about the experience of watching it. And honestly, I don't understand where this concept that style over substance is a bad thing. Sometimes style can be the substance, idiots. And honestly, because I just watched it, just watched it again recently. My experience now, all these years later, from when I first watched it, it's similar to how it was, but it's more rewarding. I was less shocked at what I'd seen. The images were already plastered into my head, and they hadn't left. But I had missed some things because, I wasn't really that big into film at the time, and plus, when you rewatch films, you pick up on things within the film. Lynch's symbols in it are still as evocative as ever. They're color-coded and literate, even while he tries purposely to implode the use of film and the form of film with the digital camera. Close-ups everywhere and an avoidance of master shots. It just lends to this flattened spatial construction and just creates a decidedly eerie and terrifying feel that literally anything could happen at any time, just like a dream. Emotion blur and just the unfocused insanity of it also helps in making the everyday appear horrifying. In the usual typical David Lynch fashion of just reality is fucking terrifying. Brutal fucking murder, as one of the characters says. I mean, going back and watching the film, it didn't show me that I had missed some massive arrows pointed to the flaws. It only assuaged my feelings that the film's brilliance comes from the fact it doesn't need to point to the answers. It may hint at Baltic intrigue or acting as prostitution and the life and death of film and digital respectively, but it speaks in deep strokes built on the incomprehensible feelings the film invokes through the images. So honestly, in that way, I can never come to a satisfying answer, which is frustrating on an intellectual level, but it feels right. When Laura Dern's characters converge at the end, I don't know why, but it feels like a sort of redemption or martyrdom. It's like Dern frees all these women by confronting some ominous and powerful force that can take the shape of domesticity or society or politics or whatever the fuck. It's incredibly moving and makes me strongly believe in the powerful power of cinema as a liminal force between reality and fiction. And Inland Empire manages to incorporate elements of both, but feels completely separate. On some entirely new plane of existence where time and space have converged into pure emotional movement. That is to say, words hardly justify this uniquely odd and overwhelming film. I am endlessly fascinated by Inland Empire. There is a reason it's one of my favorite films of all time, and I genuinely can't look away every time I watch it. It is amazing. Oh my god, it's so good. Thank you for watching my review of Inland Empire, directed by David Lynch. I hope you fucking enjoyed, bastards, motherfuckers. Cool. Now get the fuck out of here, okay? Like the video, whatever the fuck. Bye.